How do you respond, Mr. Olmert, to those who say that what Israel is doing, that's how the Palestinians and many, the Arab street views it, is genocide. You're targeting civilians. You want to finish the Hezbollah, you want to finish Hamas. In the process, innocent civilians have died, thousands of them, disproportionate to what happened on October 7th. How do you respond to the charge that Israel is engaging in what the Palestinians are saying is genocide and the killing of innocents?
I'm sure that you don't say it, because a sober person would never voice this kind of outrageous accusations which have no basis in reality. Fact is that Hamas started this operation, and there was no way that we could not respond to this. Hezbollah started the operation on the 8th of October last year without any provocation, without any reason. They said, Nasrallah said, before he was targeted, he said, the reason that we are fighting is because we want to fight against Israel because of the South, without any particular reason that they had to justify this kind of conflict between us and them. We are not interested in committing any crimes, and the fact is that although there were claims to the International Court of Justice arguing that Israel committed war crimes, it was not validated by the International Court of Justice. On the contrary, it didn't accuse any Israeli action as trying to create war crime, and there is not any basis for these accusations. Yes,
but yet, Mr. Olmert, there are Palestinians who say that this war didn't begin on October 7, 2023. It's been building up for years. They claim that they see Israel having occupied Gaza and West Bank, that they've treated Palestinians as effectively second class, that there are thousands of Palestinians in Israeli jails. There seems to be so much of animus on both sides. So when you talk of ending the conflict, how do you end the bitterness that exists? How is that going to ever end?
Well, first of all, I subscribe to the statement opening your broadcast when you said exactly 1 year ago, on the 7th of October 2023, the war started by the attack of the Hamas against the state of Israel, butchering and killing more than 1,000 Israelis in the living rooms and in the bedrooms. So this is how it started. Now there is a long historical conflict between us and the Palestinians. The fact is that Israel pulled out from Gaza in 2005, and I had the privilege of being one of the main pushers as the vice prime minister at that time of doing it. Now, I'm sure that you are aware of the fact that in 2008, I presented the Palestinians with a comprehensive peace plan based on a two-state solution that unfortunately the president of the Palestinian Authority at that time didn't sign it, and he may have missed an opportunity, an historic opportunity, to have changed entirely the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Recently, as a few weeks ago, I issued a joint statement signed together with the former foreign minister of the Palestinian Authority and the former ambassador of the Palestinians to the United Nations, and the nephew of Yasser Arafat, a joint statement calling for the end of the war in Gaza, and offering a framework for peace between us and the Palestinians on a two-state solution. So what I am doing, and what some Palestinians are prepared to do with me, which is remarkable and impressive.
But are the people, what you're doing, that's the question. Do the people of Israel and Palestine now, are they willing to have peace, given, as I said, what's happened in the last 1 year, the anger on both sides? Is there a peace dividend out there? Are they ready for peace?
There is anger, obviously. How could it not be? Considering what happened, considering how on the 7th of October 2023, we were waking up to watch the massacre of thousands of Israelis in the bedrooms by savage Palestinians coming from across the border. But the ultimate responsibility of leadership is to try and change things, and not to surrender to emotions of hate and to the desire to avenge, when perhaps a different direction can be adopted. And what we are trying to do is to say to the Israelis and hopefully to the Palestinians, but of course this is something that Palestinian leaders such as Nasser al-Kidwa will be able to do, is to say, look, at the end of the day, there is no other solution than a political compromise that will allow the establishment of a Palestinian state alongside the state of Israel that will provide the Palestinians with an opportunity to entertain their rights for self-determination as they have never done before.
Okay.
I support, this is what I'm working for, this is what I'm preaching for, this is what I'm saying up front across the world, and I hope, together with a colleague from the Palestinian side, and we hope that this will ultimately capture the attention of the international community to help move it forward.
Well, that is the long-term objective, surely a political solution. But in the short term, we're seeing now Israeli forces on the ground in Lebanon. Last time when you were Prime Minister, Israeli forces were there in Lebanon in 2006 and the operation was not entirely successful. My point is, you're talking of the long-term political solution, which is surely the way forward. But in the short term, do you only see now further escalation, further bombings, more violence, more killings? Is that inevitable? Israel seems to have opened, or their adversaries have opened a multi-front war. Is that something that troubles you if Israeli forces are on the ground in Lebanon, if they strike at Iran, if the Houthis also get involved from Yemen, if Syria also gets involved? Is that your worry that in the short term, we could have an escalating conflict that consumes the entire Middle East?
You have to decide where the multi-front war starts and how it can be stopped. You are claiming that Israeli forces are in Lebanon. Israeli forces were holding up for more than a year when the Lebanese were shooting at us, the Hezbollah, and forced out 80,000 of the Israelis living in the north away from their homes, and were shooting on day in, day out, every day, 200, 300 rockets into every part of the north section of Israel, forcing more than 1 million people to live in the shelters because of the danger to their lives. So at some point, something had to be done. And what happened in the last few days is a result of this endless, continuous, atrocious attacks by Hezbollah. And the same goes for the Houthis, and the same goes for the Iranian militias in Syria. We didn't know that the Houthis exist until they started to shoot ballistic missiles at us. What we want to do now is very simple. Israel, my Israel, okay? I don't speak for the government. I don't speak for the Prime Minister. They don't like me. And I'll tell you something, I don't like them, okay? What I suggest is that we will stop immediately the war in Gaza in order to bring back all the hostages simultaneously in one phase. I suggest that the American and the French efforts to broker a deal between us and the government of Lebanon will bring an end to the war in Lebanon, and that will probably quieten down the Iranians, at least for the time being. If the Iranians will insist on continuing the hostilities in spite of what I suggest as an ending of the war in the south and ending the war in the north, then they will have to fight not just with Israel, but also with America. And I'm not sure that this is going to be very, very helpful to the Iranians.
Well, Mr. Ehud Olmert, for speaking your mind out and your voice in a manner that perhaps hopefully will echo across the Middle East, that this is a moment for peace.
Also in India. We want very much Prime Minister Modi. I want very much Prime Minister Modi. Modi is a great leader and a very important international leader. And we expect him and we want him to support what I propose and Mr. El-Kidwa proposed, that is an end to the war, embarking on negotiations, a two-state solution with a very, very intense support of India. India is an enormously important, highly regarded country here, and the leadership of India is friendly to us as well as to the Palestinians, so they can play an important role in this process.
Ehud Olmert, for joining me there from Tel Aviv. Appreciate your joining us. Stay safe. Thanks very much for joining me here and speaking your mind out.